Alright, listen up. Everybody knows that the first Kung Fu Panda is great. You got the Tai Lung prison escape scene, the rope bridge set piece. Po is this shining symbol of optimism. Master Oogway. The lesson that things are only special with belief. There is no secret ingredient. It's just you. And most importantly, the birth of the word skadoosh. But I'd argue its underrated sequel is equally as impassioned and awe-inspiring. Its villain and Po's main character arc being its best aspects, all culminating in an emotional climax lasting only 6 minutes and 17 seconds that provide an even greater moral than the first, told through little spoken word while unpacking the broader themes of the film. This is Understanding, Kung Fu Panda 2's greatest scene. Everybody was Kung Fu fighting! For those unfamiliar with Kung Fu Panda 2, it tells the story of now Dragon Warrior Po, struggling to find inner peace as he questions his identity, when confronted with flashes of the past while attempting to stop the evil peacock Lord Shen from using his destructive weapon to bring an end to Kung Fu once and for all. Now some of you may be thinking, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but you would be wrong, you would be actually wrong. Because just because the tagline to this movie is Skatoosh, does not mean it is not also a meaningful exploration into past trauma and self-discovery, okay? Anyways, some more context for this scene. Near the beginning of the film, after a run-in with Lord Shen's goons, triggering either a fractured snippet of a nightmare, or maybe a forgotten long-distance memory, Po consults with his dad the goose, Mr. Ping, awesome character by the way, who confesses to him that he is adopted.
You might have been kind of adopted.
Bruh. With this revelation leading Po to further question who he is. After several more encounters triggering this vision, and understanding that Shen, played incredibly by Gary Oldman's seriously a top tier voice performance, played a part in this in some way. During their confrontation prior to the best scene in the film, Po demands answers, to which Lord Shen responds, "Your parents didn't love you," before firing his weapon directly at Po. And then, the scene begins. We open on Po unconscious, steadily drifting through a river. He has been quite literally and metaphorically speaking knocked out by this revelation. This imagery of drifting speaks to him being directionless and not truly knowing himself or where he comes from. Po then finds himself in the company of the Soothsayer, the psychic sheep played by Michelle Yeoh, who previously foretold the prophecy of Shen being defeated by a panda. She treats Po's injuries just as she will help heal his inner turmoil. Po is then awoken by water droplets. Now this is great imagery, as within the context of the movie, inner peace is represented through the means of water. So what this is communicating to us is when Po eventually finds inner peace, this will lead to awakening him to who he truly is, to finding his identity. We then get a little funny interaction between both characters.
Yeah, like you could make me drink that.
With the direction here helping emphasize Po's dazed state. Then, I love this portrayal of a memory physically hurting Po, the past being so traumatic it is haunting him, with the sound of distant screams emphasizing his pain.
It's just a stupid nightmare.
Nightmare or memory?
Through this exchange, we understand that Po has repressed this deeply troubling moment from his past so much that to him it is merely a nightmare and could in no way be reality. He stares into the water as he begins to confront this possibility, coming face to face with his past, which reflects back at him as he starts to look a little closer. As with all previous flashbacks, this is depicted in a 2D animated style, something of which we will understand its greater purpose of later on. At first, the colour palette is clearly distinctly brighter and more inviting than Po in his present, but swiftly transitions into the striking red sequence as the trauma comes flooding back, helping ramp up the intensity and danger of the situation. When we break down this section into its barest essentials, the villainous threats are all showcased through triangular shapes. The fire, the sharp planks of wood, the wolves and their teeth, Lord Shen himself, contrasting the roundness of the pandas and even their choice of weaponry, speaking to how we project abstract meaning onto different forms, consistently interpreting rounder shapes as softer and vulnerable, with those with sharper edges and points seen continuously as threatening and in more evil characters. Po is once again trying to fight this memory, banishing it to his unconscious mind, which is exhausting him, but this time he is finally taught to
stop fighting, let it flow.
Po attempts to try and find inner peace through this visually soothing sequence, juxtaposing that of his trauma intertwined throughout. I love the transitions here from the water droplets guiding us into the flashbacks, demonstrating the process of obtaining peace within oneself involves understanding all of that which is a part of you. even the parts which are painful. As we move forward, this scene truly highlights how the score by John Powell and Hans Zimmer is just incredible and compelling, and doesn't take away from the visual storytelling, but instead aiding it. Who knew Hans Zimmer's best work would be in animated films involving animals learning from their past, huh? Oh, no that. And then, my favourite moment. This transition from 2D back to 3D animation is so powerful. We now understand this artistic choice for the flashbacks was, for one, obviously demonstrating the differing time periods, but also how Poe perceived these events. As he mentioned before, he interpreted them as just some sort of nightmare, but now Poe is finally understanding what he has repressed, making sense of the truth and seeing it in the forefront of his mind. This POV shot from young Poe's perspective is so heartbreaking, along with a great choice to light Poe's mother with a soft golden glow, representing Poe's youthful adoration for his parents, which swiftly fades as she runs off with a stark visual of the wolves and the flaunt of peacock feathers hunting her follow. The subsequent close-up on Poe's face speaks volumes. He has finally learned the truth, but at what cost? But then we are treated to the best line in the movie.
Your story may not have such a happy beginning, but that doesn't make you who you are. It is the rest of your story, who you choose to be.
Then this montage of clips from the previous movie and earlier scenes, alongside the amazing soundtrack, never fails to make me tear up. To me, this expertly communicates that for Poe, the past has always been a part of him, whether he understood it or not, but everything he has achieved since has all been on his own merits. Whatever has happened to us before, we don't have to let it define us. It is our choice now for how we choose to live and for who we choose to be. Who we are is not something that is definitively written in the pain of the past. As the wise Master Oogway once said,
"Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present."
After the music swells and Poe's wide-eyed facial expression demonstrates he understands all that he's been longing for, Soothsayer directly poses him the question he's been asking all his life.
Who are you, Panda?
And Poe now finally knows, and also exactly what he needs.
I am Poe, and I'm gonna need a hat.
The finale of Kung Fu Panda 2 is also fantastic and beautifully animated, but the scene we just analysed, to me, is top tier cinema right there, bada bing bada boom. But I do just want to touch on one final thing, and that is elaborating more on Lord Shen, and why he works so well as the villain to this specific story, and overall makes these scenes all the more great. Throughout the movie, we see Shen continuously taking the wrong lessons from every experience, starting with exploiting fireworks for evil, something that was created purely for good, to then taking the caution of being defeated by a warrior of black and white if continuing down this dark path as a direct threat, leading to Panda genocide. And nobody wants Panda genocide. His parents banishing him due to the horror he had caused was something he had never let go of or tried to understand their perspective, hence projecting this loss onto Poe during their previous confrontation. He is the direct opposite of Poe's character, demonstrating the downside of holding on too much to our past, something he couldn't even accept once defeated, and ends up destroyed by his own creation, something fueled out of anger and spite instead of learning to move on. Poe's final words to him bring the whole story full circle, and wouldn't have been possible without the film's greatest scene.
You gotta let go of that stuff from the past, because it just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you choose to be now.
And I guess there's only one thing left to say, but I'm gonna leave it to my boy Poe. Poe, take it away.
Skadoosh.